So we're in the midst of spring and I'm kind of late to doing my spring collection, so I can show you what I have been enjoying and what newbies I may have lurking next to me. Spring has really focused me on, well, I've been able to focus on what I'm really enjoying and what I know I'm not enjoying so much in my collection. So it's been a lot of movement of things going and things coming in. One thing I know I do very much enjoy, obviously in spring, is a good chypre, and I've got a few in this list that I'm gonna share. Why don't we just get stuck in, because I don't want to ramble for ages and I'm so tired that I don't want to have to edit too much. So if I can just get to the point, which I'm not doing now, I haven't got to edit too much. So I'm going to start with my ride or die favourites for spring, and I think they've been in pretty much every spring video that I've done, because they are just my favourites for spring, basically. So first of all, I'm going to start with Lucky. So this is from the Christian Dior Privé line. One of my favourites from this line. Lucky is a Lily of the Valley fragrance. Going to keep this really short and sweet so we can move through them really fast. A watery, transparent, pretty, slightly soapy, very slightly musky Lily of the Valley. I like it because it's clean, it's crisp, it's classy, straightforward. There's a real prettiness, quite transparent. It's ever so beautiful. It layers really nicely with other things. It's juicy and refreshing. What I often pair with this, and I've mentioned this a few times as well, is one of my favourite fragrances of all time, one of my top 10s for life, and this is one of my masterpieces in my collection, a beautiful niche, one of my first ever niche fragrances. Confessions of a Garden Gnome by Manle. See the little gnome just down the bottom there. So this is classed as a green, woody, white floral scent. There's definitely white florals. You've got Lily and Lily of the Valley, which are quite prominent. But I do get a lot of this kind of damp, mossy tobacco. There is no tobacco. It's very mossy. It's very earthy, woody. But it always reminds me of damp, fresh tobacco. But it's very magical little scent. It always makes me think of just a beautiful garden, long grasses, an untouched garden sort of after the rain, where everything's wet and alive and very bright. And there's this sort of hazy quality in here. Like this, I think it's the ambergris doing that, giving you this kind of hazy, not salty, but something, a bit of something, substance that makes it kind of magical and a bit whimsical. But it's beautiful. Love it. So that's that one. Let's just jump straight to the first of my chypre. So this is by the House of Sisley, and this is Eau de Soir. And I will only ever reach for this in the spring. The spring, to me, you've got a little bit of clean, you've got a little bit of aromatic, you want a little bit of something crisp because it's not completely warm yet. It's quite, actually, it's been blooming freezing. Just a cold bite of something. And the chypre is refreshing in a kind of classic, clean, sort of dry bite, if you know what I mean. It's refreshing in that sense. Opens with mandarin and grapefruit. It's very strong. It has that vintage chypre, that crisp bite to it, but it's very luminous. It's like a luminous green. It's really powerful in the opening, but it's abrasive in a good way, like in a refreshingly lovely way. And then it settles into that kind of more classic chypre with the moss and the patchouli. But it's very refreshing, quite bracing, and a little bit executive smelling as well. It's got like a serious scent, but I just really enjoy it on a spring day, on a crisp spring cold day. I think this is just a lovely one to put a spring in your step. So that's Eau de Soir. Another lovely chypre here. Not classed as a chypre, although it has the moss, the patchouli, the florals. There's a rose in here, but it's predominantly a pear. So this is Angelys Pear from Nicolai. Really love this one. Again, it has that dry, crisp bite about it. I love things that are mossy. I've discovered I really do enjoy oak moss or things that are mossy. It has that going on in here. It's quite a dry scent. It's quite bright in the opening. I think there's raspberry in here as well, and there's some citruses, but you end up with this mossy patchouli, kind of like a conference pear, where you bite through that dry sort of brown skin, and you've got not a completely ripe pear. It's still slightly green, but there's still a bit of juiciness, a bit of sweetness in it, but not too much. It's still quite crisp and refreshing. That's Angelys Pear for me, and it is such a beautiful one for the spring, and I love that. So another gorgeous chypre, Angelys Pear from the House of Nicolai. So next up is a really beautiful green aromatic fragrance. Considering it's spring, I'm not bringing you typical flowers, which is surprising for me because I love my florals. But I'm craving green, earthy, aromatic, woody kind of fragrances. There are a few florals here, but mostly we're going for the green. So this is Ormonde Woman. Ormonde Jayne, Ormonde Woman for me is the scent of wood elves. It's mystical. It has a kind of ethereal green quality about it. Definitely a green woody scent. Very aromatic. I love how Ormonde Jayne creates this very spa-like, smooth, balmy quality in a lot of their fragrances, and this one is very much a balmy spa scent. You've got a lot of woods in here. You've got hemlock bringing kind of a deep green, that very deep green quality. There's grass oil, which I love. I love the grass oil in here. It does feel like an oily, grassy kind of a scent. It's quite spicy. You've got coriander. Love that kind of dry, slightly savoury coriander in there. You've got lots of different woods. There's some aromatic herbs in here. Tons of beautiful fingerprints. There's a few florals, which I can't remember what they are. It's a very balanced, clean, classy, typically understated, sophisticated scent from Ormonde Jayne. Not in the chypre realm at all. It's not crisp or dry and bitey and, you know, that style. This is much smoother, like I say, smooth, aromatic and balmy, stunning, beautiful. Love this one for spring. So that's Ormonde Woman from Ormonde Jayne. So those are all the kind of the green fragrances. I've got 3 florals I want to talk about next. Actually, I've been very organised here without even realising it. We've got a nice category going. We've got the greens. We're going to do the florals. Next we're going to do the woody meadow woodland. And then there's a couple of new ones that I consider more fluffy, soft, musky. So there's a nice category. So we've got done the greens. We're going to head on to the florals. And the first one is Gris Dior. It's a floral chypre. Chypres have florals. It's gonna be the bridge to the florals. Why am I making this complicated? Rose, patchouli, moss, a few other notes. They're the main notes. I would think the rose in here was a lilac-y coloured rose, not just because of the juice, but because of how it smells. It's not red, it's not pink, it's not green, it's not white. It's a kind of very smooth, soft, watery, pretty rose, but it takes itself seriously in a chypre jacket, okay, because of the moss and the patchouli, and I find them quite dominant in this, which is why I find it hard to wear in certain occasions and seasons and temperatures. Can't relax with this scent, but I like it because of how it keeps me on my toes all day long. You know, it's quite a professional fragrance. It's modern, it's quite chic, you know. The chypre quality in here makes it quite executive somehow. So that is Gris Dior, early spring and winter fragrance. The next one is challenging, and I only wear this winter, really more early spring. It's a floral, it's a lilac. It's a very strong lilac scent, which is very much spring, but because of how heady and heavy and dense it is, I could not wear this in the warm weather. And also certain moods, it would just overpower me and I would end up hating it. So from the house of Amaouge, from their, I think it's called was it Blossoms line or something? I can't remember. So this is Lilac Love. So it's a floral gourmand. I don't think of this as a gourmand at all. Okay, this is just a strong, heady, very powdery, very thick and dense lilac scent. I don't remember all the notes, but you've got heliotrope mingling with the lilac, which gives quite a powdery, soft but very powdery feeling. And that is quite strong in here. It is a slight indolic edge to the lilac here, slightly animalic, a bit sickly, which is done really well. I mean, if you love lilac, this is a beautiful one to check out, but it's not fresh. It's not a green, fresh, airy, pretty scent. This is heavy, really heavy, and with very little movement to it. And there's a cacao note in here. I think it might even be white chocolate. I can't remember. I never used to get the white chocolate. I didn't understand what the hell that was until I started pulling for it in the winter, and all I could smell was this beautiful powdery white chocolate, just interlaced with everything else. It's not the dominant at all. It brings a very creamy sweetness to it, which I guess for some people, if it's stronger on them, it's going to be more gourmandish. I get that, but on me, it just saves it from being too far in the indolic stage. It kind of tempers the indoles a bit and becomes very velvety, very smooth. Very specific scent I'd only wear on a really cold spring day, probably only on the weekend, it's a Sunday scent, I think, when the moon is full and blah, blah, blah. But when I'm in the mood for it, it's beautiful, really beautiful. So that is Lilac Love by Amaouge. So another floral, this is just a cheapie. This is a cheapie, easy, transparent, don't know what to wear, reach for it, don't have to think. Lovely scent, more for rainy days in spring. This is kind of one of my rainy scents. From the House of Burberry. This is My Burberry. This is the EDT. Never tried the EDP, so I don't know what that one's like. But when I first tried this, I just really enjoyed it. I found it really easy, grab and go. But for a rainy spring day, a refreshing rainy spring day, it's very light, very transparent. It's not a lot going on with this. It's a peony scent. No, it's not. It's a sweet pea scent. So there is peony in here, but this is mostly sweet pea. And I love sweet peas. My dad used to grow sweet peas and he used to give me a bunch when they were in bloom. And there's not many sweet pea fragrances, or maybe there are. This one I really like, but it has a musky quality to it. I don't know if there's that, is it petrichor, that damp rain smell, that molecule. I don't know if that's in here, but I do think of the rain when I smell this. There's this musky, almost plasticky smell. Like you're wearing a Macintosh, rain mac, and it's raining, obviously, and you've got, maybe there's sweet peas in a garden that you're walking past in the rain. Very translucent, very watery, but just pleasant. It's got a hint of, Mojave Ghost from Byredo, that sort of floral musk thing. Reminds me a little bit of that. But I prefer this. It's got more of a watery sort of characteristic. And I just think this is just a lovely April showers kind of a scent. So that is My Burberry EDT. My tripod is collapsing. It's doing the giraffe legs thing. So the next 3 fragrances are my kind of woody meadow scents. I'm completely obsessed with all 3 of them. They are all new, and all 3 are very evocative of the outdoors. So this first one is actually a special one for me, because I was very, very fortunate, very lucky to have won this. I was nominated by one of my good friends in the FragCon, Perfume, the vegan perfume girl. She's on IG. Sorry, that's Instagram. She was the winner of Claire's recent fundraiser that Smurfygurly Claire organised, set up, arranged to raise money for the Red Cross, really helping in a massive way the people of Ukraine, which we won't go into that, obviously it's a terrible situation. But she did an amazing thing. She raised a lovely amount of money to go to the Red Cross, and it's fantastic. A lot of brands very generously donated their fragrances to help raise money. But it was a charity raffle, absolutely amazing. And Maddie, my friend Maddie, was very fortunate. She had a few wins. She won something that she was so happy with, so pleased for her. But she very generously nominated me as her second winning ticket. So I got to choose a fragrance, and I chose one from Dusita, and it is Pavillon Dior. What an amazing fragrance to win. I'm so grateful. So this is an aromatic woody floral. There's a floral of honeysuckle in here. Do I pick out honeysuckle particularly? I used to have a honeysuckle bush where I used to live. It's quite a distinct scent. It's kind of a sweet, creamy scent. Yeah, I think I can get it. It's a beautifully blended fragrance, so it's not easy to pick little things out. Overall, it's just this beautiful sunny aura with dry elements. It opens very bright and very sunny. It's got these lovely woody elements that come through, but the dry down is beautiful. It's quite orris-y, like iris-y, but more orris through it. So it's kind of like a plump, buttery feeling. Just love it. I love the elements to it. It's, like I say, it's sunny, woody, and so smooth and buttery in the dry down. It's easy to wear. It's nothing heavy about it. It's, like I say, it's very evocative of being outdoors in a meadow, or just an open woodland or something like that. Just a beautiful fragrance from the House of Dusita. So that is Le Pavillon Dior. And this next sort of woody, sunny, outdoorsy scent from the House of Exaltatum, and this is called Mimosa Gold. I can thank my friend Scott from the channel The Scenturion, who had the discovery set of Exaltatum, and he sent me a little drop of all of the samples that he had, so I got to experience the whole house. Which I really enjoyed. So thank you so much, Scott. I've bought Ruby Wood from Exaltatum. I fell in love with that one. That's a very tart raspberry scent, really beautiful. And Mimosa Gold is the second one that I fell in love with. So this is, again, a very sunny scent. I think this is almost borderline gourmand for me. It's a mimosa fragrance. I don't know if you've ever tried mimosa. It's quite a sort of dusty, dry flower, little yellow pom-poms, dusty fluffy sort of scent, slightly buttery, but not soft buttery, just much more dry. Mimosa Gold for me is that small, sweet, buttery element of mimosa in a huge perfume form. So they've managed to take that beautiful element and create the entire perfume from that. So it's like how I imagine a bumblebee would smell a pom-pom of mimosa up close. You know, you've got all that polleny, yellow, fluffy scent. You've got almond blossom in here, which does have a lot of presence. It really has a big effect on the mimosa. It actually makes it quite marzipan-y. Very rounded kind of a scent. It's contained kind of a smell. But if you were to roll that little ball of marzipan in meadow debris, so you've got like husks and flowers and dried elements, so you get that kind of meadowy, outdoorsy feeling, but it's coated around this marzipan ball. It's the weirdest thing. That's Mimosa Gold for me. Smelling it from the cap, you could probably get a slight Play-Doh-y, maybe a slightly green Play-Doh-y kind of sensation. It could be more bitter on some people. It's very niche, it's very unusual. I've not smelled anything like this before. I personally love this. I think it is just beautiful for spring, probably autumn as well. I really crave this. I'd wear it on the days I crave. I wouldn't just wear it just willy-nilly because it's quite a specific kind of a scent. So quite artisan, very unique, and just really moorish for days I crave it in spring. So my next kind of sunny, woody spring fragrance. This is from the house of Papillon Artisan Perfumes, and this is called Dryad. So Dryad is slightly aromatic. It is a very woody. It's very woody and dry, a resinous nature. It has a very mossy nature. I love all the outdoorsy elements of this fragrance, but I'm very influenced by the story. Dryad was inspired by a poem written by the perfumer Liz Moore's daughter, all about the wood nymph. Love the poem. If you go to the House of Papillon Artisan Perfumes website, the whole poem is written beneath this perfume, so you'll find it on the right page. So it's all about this wood nymph and the mysteries and the magic in the woodlands. It's not hard for me to get swept away in that story because I am very much a daydreamer, and I love having that kind of a background to associate with a fragrance. Dryad reaffirms this love I obviously have for moss, for certain woods, for this outdoorsy, this evocatively outdoors feeling. There's a lot of notes in here, so I'm not going to go through them all. There's a lot of aromatic herbs and things. You've got different woods, you've got styrax, you've got a bit of an animalic quality, a bit of a dirty quality behind the woods, the pyrobalsam giving it a lovely balmy resinous feel. There's a kind of tobacco-y sensation in here, which I kind of get from it links it to Tobacco Rose a tiny little bit, but that moss, it's that moss linked with other things, gives you this kind of damp mossy tobacco. As you move through this sort of mystical woodlands, the moss growing up the trees, and you get further and deeper into that woods, almost deeper into the day, like it's dusk, deeper into the dusk. And as you move through the notes, in the far dry down, there's this beautiful feeling of that orris root, that beautiful silvery plump feeling of orris. And I got this in Spell 125 as well. It made me think of the moon, a bright white full moon lighting everything up. And as that moonlight shines down through the dark trees, I envision these little white mushrooms all being lit up under the moon. I've got this very clear image in my head when I wear this. So the very beautiful Dryad from Papillon, fantastic springtime fragrance. So my last two fragrances here are both from the same house, a house I've only recently discovered. They're a little bit bougie. They are both luxury designer, and they both represent my approach to having a musk. Such a sensitive head for musks, and I have to be really careful with the headaches and things, but turns out that the musks in this house seem to agree with me, and I find them very approachable, very friendly, fluffy, cozy, sweet. Just get into it, Liz, you know. From the house of Louis Vuitton, and it's from the Les Parfums collection. Is that what I've written down here? This one is called Attrape-rêves. And this is the one I see on most people's channels that are talking about this house. Seems to be the very popular one. I can see why people love it. It's very approachable. It's a very familiar kind of a fragrance. I love the name, Attrape-rêves. It means dream catcher. I just like how cozy, sweet, cuddly, reassuring, pretty, and warming it is. It falls under that patchouli style, that fruity patchouli. It opens really beautifully with lychee and ginger. Isn't it really interesting note in here is the cocoa. It does seem quite present on me. The cocoa does seem very present on my skin. I really pick it up, but it's almost like cocoa nibs, you know. There's little touches of it tucked in the folds. It smells a little bit more refined, a bit more luxurious. It's just nicely done. This is a typical recognizable DNA of a patchouli musk that's just nicely done and doesn't give me a headache. At least I find it very fluffy, very cuddly. I really enjoy this, one. I'm surprised that I do so much. Very beautiful, the Attrape-rêves Dreamcatcher from Louis Vuitton. So my second one was a sample that I ordered with Attrape-rêves. The one I chose actually came today. I have already unboxed it, but I put it back together because I thought it'd be nice to show you. Woo! I do love the packaging. I do think it is lovely. Made a bit more room. So we'll just slide this off. And the scary thing is the samples that I've ordered with this one of them I really like, but I think that's just for another time of the year. So you open the flap. The paper's quite nice and textured. Everything is cardboard, no plastic whatsoever, which is great. And that's how it's presented. The perfume here with the two samples. That was originally a little bow, but obviously I've cracked into it. So the perfume I ordered was Heures d'absence, the absence of time. So we have another box. We have a carton within a box, all cardboard. So we have the sort of column tower box style. So this comes in a really beautiful lilac liquid. So there we have Heures d'absence. I hope that's how you say it. I don't know. For me, this is a very wispy floral musk. When I first smelt this, I instantly thought of a white rose in the rain. It's just this image that came to my head. You've got the rose in here. It's a very sort of silky, wispy scent. It's a very fluid kind of a scent. The florals are, nothing particularly stands out. Even though I think of a white rose, I wouldn't say it was rosy. It's a very silky, clean floral musk. Not too fluffy, it's not fluffy like Attrape-rêves. This is more silky, soft, more like an aura. The musk kind of has like a slightly plasticky edge, not in a bad way. Oh, it's so beautiful. When you first spray this, I don't think there's lychee in here, but I get this really juicy, like a lychee juice. Really colourful, like a rainbow lychee juice. I don't know. Really pretty. It's very understated. It feels like a silky, straightforward floral musk, but it's subtle. There are definitely layers that are subtle, like this lychee, like this rainbow of layers, but subtle. Yeah. So I just love this. Any season. This could be a grab and go. It's quite expensive for a grab and go, but I don't think it's specific for any particular time. I would class this as one of my new rainy day scents. And if it's a rainy day scent, then it's a Lizzie scent, and I love it. So that is my very bougie second from Louis Vuitton. That is Heures d'absence. I'm going to very quickly, it's going to be a very long video, but I'm going to very quickly mention the other fragrance that I really am enjoying, since only trying it today, of course. Does not want to focus on this Etoile Filante. I don't know how to pronounce that, but this is a strawberry floral soapy scent. If you look on Fragrantica and look at the notes on this particular scent, they look so pretty. I had to find out if the scent was as pretty as the notes looked. If I sprayed this earlier on today, what I was really hoping for and what did actually come through was this very beautiful strawberry in the opening. I love the strawberry opening in this. It is not a typical synthetic, overly sweet, cloying strawberry. This is actually a green, like it's still on the stem. I think it's really realistic strawberry. Bright, it's fresh. It's got to be a ripe one in there as well, because I do smell this strawberry juice. Sweet, almost transparent, but strawberry juice dripping down your arm. There's a pretty fluffiness behind it all. And there's also a soapy quality to it. There's also a sparkling quality to it. The opening is delicious. It's like strawberries and champagne. Not to be taken too literally, because I've got a big imagination, and this is just where it transported me. Something a little bit Jane Austen-esque about how I visualise this scent. Summer. I think of the summer a beautiful summer's day, warm summer's day, having a picnic with strawberries, champagne, scones. It's like a cream tea. You've got scones, cream, you've got tea as well, because there's something refreshing in here and soft. I love the opening end to the all the way to the mid is, to me, a picnic with strawberry jam and scones. It's not a gourmand, but the strawberry is so realistic for me, and it's such a summery scent. That's just where it takes me, but it ends up quite soapy. I don't mind it. I don't mind the soapiness. It still maintains this strawberry all the way through. It gets softer. It's less fresh and more soft. As it gets softer, I'm aware of this musk again. I'm not sure yet. I love the opening to the mid. I love that it's a beautiful summer's day picnic sort of scent. But I'm going to play with the sample a lot more and see how I feel about it. But this is really, really fun, friendly, clean, and just really pretty and approachable again. So that is Etoile Filante from Louis Vuitton. So that's pretty much what spring looks like in my fragrance rotation. This is what I'm going to be smelling like, all these beautiful things. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Sorry it was so long. Thanks so much for watching as always, and I shall see you on my next one. Take care, over and out.